You guys hear that they're making another Bubsy game, but like Ape Escape hasn't had a new game since the PlayStation 2. Like Video Game Donkey single-handedly kept Bubsy 3D in the cultural zeitgeist so hard that they actually felt compelled to make a fourth, like a new one. Bomberman 64. Yeah, I agree. Bomberman 64 needs a new game. You have a Tang. Just one. How poor of you to only have just one Tang. You know, in my father's house, there are many Tangs, and each one more grandiose than the last. You know, it was thanks to video games like this, and growing up where I did, that I just wanted to wander around a suburb forever. You cannot beat me, Frog Monster. I have played Sekiro. Your suburb had a time machine? Yeah, it did. Mine did. I understand why yours didn't, but mine had a time machine, yeah. It was right next to the pool. You only had a gorilla? Dang. Were you the poor school district with only the gorilla? Come on. We had 3 gorillas. And a giraffe. And an aviation museum. You had a hippo? Whatever. Lame. In fact, my school district was so fancy that we had an entire other school district we could send the misbehaving children to. It's just underwear shaped, yeah. I mean, like, without the power of the helmet, he would just dookie in it and wear it like underwear, but it's not underwear. Yeah, that's what PetSmart is, right? It's like Animal GameStop. I feel like if I went and made that video, like if I was just like, all right guys, we're here at Animal GameStop picking up more booster packs, I'd just be like, they just kicked me out of PetSmart. Look, you know what's not ever getting a sequel? Mr. Mosquito. Not that I think Mr. Mosquito deserves a sequel, but like, wouldn't it be cool if it got one? I don't know if you're just making that up. I don't know if there was a game about hitting women in the booba that was called Stretch Panic, but the Japanese make some kind of games, you know? Like, it's like with anime or whatever, where it's like, even back in the day, they'll be like, what's this anime called? Bubblegum Crisis? What's it about? Oh, it's about the future of Tokyo's cyborg police robot sexy women. And you're like, oh, does it have anything to do with bubblegum? And then just look at you very confused, like, why would it have anything to do with that? This is more your kind of game? Yes, you probably like this game. This is a game about going into time and capturing monkeys. And not about stabbing monkeys in the brain with a sword. You only just boop them on the head with a stun baton. Because they have Uzis and they're not supposed to have those. And you do not rend their entire head off with the sword sticking out of their neck and then fight the headless screaming monkey that then revives itself after the fact. There are 2 kinds of monkey games in this world. Pterodactyl Monster, I have played Sekiro. What are you doing? Think you can step to me? A man who has nearly beat Sekiro New Game Plus? I don't think so. See, I'm of the opinion that you cannot have too much garlic. Like, there is no such thing as too much of it. Like, there are people who disagree, right? That there is such a thing as too much garlic. That there isn't such a thing, right? Like, they say that there's too much. But, like, there's not. Oh, you weren't in my school district? No, I know. You could never have been in my school district. Your dad did not work at Nintendo. Your dad worked for Mac? Dang, no wonder you... No wonder you were in the poor suburb. There is no Nintendo. No, that is true. There isn't any Nintendo. Nintendo was invented in the 60s and like given a 100-year background as a toy company so that they could cultivate video game technology so that in the 90s they could distribute it throughout the suburbs and destroy the neighborhoods there. Like 19-year-olds are not unk. You gotta be at least 25 to be unk, because your brain has to be developed for you to be unk, right? I have no idea what that means, Ace. I've never seen that word before. I'm scared to pronounce it, I might get banned. Which one of you was roasting me telling me that Slice of Life is unk? That Slice of Life anime is unk? Because fuck you for being right. I remember dial-up. Dude, I saw the craziest thing where they said that AOL is discontinuing the dial-up service after 34 years. Like, it's going to end this September or something. And I was like, they're still doing dial-up? Like, there are unironically, like, people still running a dial-up service? Like, what is happening right now? Who the hell still has AOL? Like, of all of the service providers that have... Man, he's like, oh, it's going to be below freezing in some places near the Ice Age period, and you're like, dog, the Ice Age period was like a bajillion degrees below zero. That's why no life survived it except for some of the life. What is freezing to me? I mean, freezing the mid 50s to like high 40s, like I consider that very cold, and I am like bundled up if it's like that. I don't do well in the cold at that level. Like, it'll get down to, like, freezing or below here sometimes. Like, our winters have only been getting colder. People wear sweatshirts in 100+ weather, I would die. See, that's the thing, is, like, as a person who lives in a place that regularly has 100-degree weather, I don't get that either. Although I have seen people wear hoodies. Like, one guy comes to the game store, he's always wearing the same black hoodie, and it's like 110 degrees outside, and you're like, what are you doing? The one time I went to South Dakota, I think it was like in the negatives, and I had brought with me clothes to wear in that weather, but I didn't wear them on the drive up there because I had forgotten that, like, I hadn't considered that, like, the drive up there was going to get progressively colder, because when we left Texas, it wasn't that cold. So I was, like, freezing in the car by the time we got there. But I couldn't just, like, we couldn't just stop to have me get all my stuff and change somewhere in, like, a rest stop or whatever. So, like, when I stepped out of the car, because we drove there, when I stepped out of the car, I thought my fingers and toes were literally going to fall off my body. It was so cold. I was like, this is it. This is how I get frostbite and die. But I didn't get frostbite and die because I warmed up in the house. And then after that, it was like smooth sailing. But like, it was... Bro must be a Yu-Gi-Oh player? Dang. They got bad drip and bad hygiene. That's very true. Around where I live, there was a concerted effort by all game stores to ban the Yu-Gi-Oh players because they were such an atrocious community of undesirables that it was actively like, they were actively like driving away other fandoms from stores. The store that I was at, like, people weren't showing up to play 40K because 40K day was the same day as the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. They just didn't want to be in the same building as those people. That and the people who were playing Yu-Gi-Oh were like, some of them needed to be put on the list, if you know what I mean. Yeah, you know how like every state has like a list of like people that like you can go look up at any time to know whether or not you want to be around those people, because their location and living residence and names and addresses have to be known at all times by all people by law for the safety of like non-adult people. That list is the list that I'm talking about. What is this game about? This guy in Japan invents a time machine. He's like a scientist, so he invents a time machine and then also a neural helmet that can make monkeys smarter. So a monkey at the circus steals the helmet and becomes super smart and makes a bunch more helmets for all of the monkeys, and then steals the time machine to go back in time to make apes rule the world. And so you gotta go back in time and round up all the apes because they've escaped. That's why it's called Ape Escape. It's from the PlayStation 1, that's why it looks so jank. It was, fun fact, it was the very first game invented specifically with 2 analog sticks in mind. And the way you attack is by flicking the analog stick in the direction you want to attack, because they didn't understand how cameras worked in the PlayStation 1. Do I grow a garden? No, I'm not a Discord predator, so I don't play Roblox. Is D&D Online or having to meet? It can be either. You can do it online, you can meet in person. There's not like a rule or anything. There's some people like playing it online because they don't live near anybody who plays it, and also like if you're at a computer doing it, you can use like certain digital resources that make the game more immersive, like, you know, digital tables and stuff like that, and record keeping. But like I much prefer doing it in person than I do over Discord or something. How do you do it? It's just a collaborative storytelling thing, right? So you get somebody who wants to tell a story, and that they need main characters for the story, so the rest of the players are the main characters in that story that they're telling. And there's not really like any rules to doing it that way, even though the game has rules. For systems, I don't use systems when I roleplay. It's just acting between people, basically, and maybe some, like, a small little thing for roles if I need them. But, like, all the best RPG times I've ever had role-playing didn't have anything to do with systems, so I'm kind of the opinion that system is a trap. How come, like, wizards don't use, like, abacuses as spell focuses? Why come they don't ever do that? I should probably look it up, because people have so many questions about it, and like they're like, what does this mean, optional rules? And I'm like, man, I don't know. Dance for my amusement. You looked it up, you can spend it on cosmetics. What? You spend XP on YouTube XP on cosmetics? I gotta figure out how this works. You know what? I apologize. As the streamer in charge, I apologize. Clearly, I am at fault for not understanding how this stupid system works. If super chats are tax deductible, they are not. Yeah, I have to pay taxes on that money. I know because the money I got from gifts for TikTok is taxable. The closest thing I ever got to seeing Has Been Hotel was this chick I was seeing for a brief period of time was like, have you seen Hell of a Boss? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And she's like, oh my god, it's so good, you have no idea, you have to watch the first episode with me. And so I did, because that was an obligation. And the entire time I was like thinking to myself, this is fucking terrible. People can like things, it's just not for me. It's kind of like isekai anime. Like, I was told by a lot of people that it's good, and I don't see the appeal. But I was like, I gotta give something a fair shake. And so I was like, alright, we'll watch ReZero. Because ReZero is like the quintessential isekai anime, right? Like, everybody holds that up as like one of the best ones. So I watched like all of the anime, and I was like, damn, this isn't selling me on it. ReZero is trash. Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't. I just didn't think it was good. It didn't sell me on the idea of isekai. And then I felt the things it was doing were like needless, and then it stopped doing them around like the end of the third or season or however far I watched. And I was like, well, if you're not doing these things, then you don't have your unique selling point anymore, which I never cared for to begin with. But now you're just doing nothing. I don't know. Look, I read a lot of manga, and sometimes a lot of it's bad. And I feel like you have to have a lot of people would be a lot happier if they. Lord of Mysteries be hitting? I don't know what that is. Like, you can't have the same expectation of one thing as another depending on genre. So like Dan to Dan as an example is really good anime. I read all the manga, I love it. But Dan to Dan is not The Stray in the Weeds, or Bones of an Invisible Person, or Technoeyes, or Grave of the Fireflies. You know, like, it's not like the serious, like, introspective anime that I watch it for. I watch it because it's mindless shonen garbage. It's fine to like those kinds of things for being that thing, but even as far as those things go, I didn't think it was that good. You want more 90s? No, that's not true at all. I don't want more 90s. I liked some anime in the 90s, but it's not that it needs to be 90s-esque, it's that it needs to be good for what it's trying to be. I liked Dragon Ball Z a lot. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z a lot when I was a kid. And then as an adult, like, when I became, like, old enough to stay up all night if I wanted to, me and my friends had a really good idea. We were like, we're gonna go rewatch all of Dragon Ball Z and relive our childhood in a big binge, because we can do that, right? We're, like, 19 years old now. And we did. And it was terrible. Okay, so I was about to bring that up. Yu Yu Hakusho, really good still. Still really good. It does drag and eventually gets really lame, like way on down the line, but I feel like it held its own in that department a lot longer. I loved the Big O. The Big O just didn't do well in Japan, and that's why it never got a third season like it was supposed to, but the Big O was really good.